The FBI is warning customers and consumers now about smart TVs. Oh dear. And a message that was posted just before the Thanksgiving holiday by an FBI field office states that televisions have built-in cameras that can be used for facial recognition. No shit, Sherlock. Making them vulnerable to hackers. Now, many people who have picked up a smart TV may not know about the risks that come with it. And it's one of the reasons the FBI is making sure consumers are aware what these TVs are equipped with. And they went on and said a number of the newer smart TVs not only have built-in cameras, but also allow TV manufacturers and app developers to possibly listen or watch consumers, according to the FBI. An unsecured TV could be taken over by hackers also. You see, they do tell us what they're doing. They have to, it's cosmic law. We just ignore it as an issue until it's too late. But the great question that is not asked is, why has the FBI and other agencies ignored this issue entirely? Has anybody asked these questions? Clearly not. As given it was an Asian-based company, Samsung, who started this practice of playing pervert voyeurs in all our homes, surely that is a national security issue in this country, is it not? I think that must be the fifth time in this show alone where I've mentioned national security issues. Why aren't the FBI and other agencies dealing with it? Why has this been overlooked? Are they not there to protect the country and its secrets? Sarcasm, I know. But given there are TVs and or monitors in major conference rooms at the highest echelons of the secrecy levels, including the famed underground war room, surely this practice of allowing it in our country is of grave concern, is it not? All this BS about Russia, China, North Korea and Iran, and all they have to do is sell you a TV to spy on you. It's not very top secret or covert, is it? The reality is the former trustee was responsible for those levels of spying on each other, which is why IBM, as in IB Marduk, created several of the spook-based systems. So you could all spy on each other and subsequently keep each other in check. Like I said earlier, he didn't have to do anything. He just let you all do it for him. Boogeyman, saviour, enemy, foe, east, west, black, white, all are one and the same and created for you. And it's time you clowns woke up. Again, I'll ask the question, is this not a national security issue? Because if it's not, you need to scrap it. The next piece is from Dallas, Texas. A land where everything is large, massive. Some people have lots of big egos and big hats and big houses and big horses, etc. And then we have other people who have nothing. Dallas, Texas, the place who committed violent acts in full public gaze, and yet 56 years later are still covering up who carried out those acts, despite at least one of the perpetrators being dead. So it will come as no surprise that this story comes out of that city. But they're not the only ones doing this barbaric actions. Feeding and clothing the homeless in the land of the free has now become a revolutionary act. And luckily, however, there are still good people willing to carry out that act. Now, back in December 2014, the Dallas City Council enacted Ordinance number 29595, which makes it illegal to serve food to the homeless without jumping through a myriad of bureaucratic loops, including paying a fee, attending training classes and unwritten notices for giving someone some food. And the group that's taken these people on stated one should not need to file multiple forms and pay a fee to obtain a permit to give food to those in need who are willingly ready to accept it. Now, thankfully, the folks that don't comply know this. And over the weekend, the aptly named organisation and dozens of their volunteers, from children to adults alike, took to the streets of Dallas to hand out food, sleeping bags, clothing and tents to the area's less fortunate. As the TFTP has reported on numerous occasions, oftentimes police will swoop in and shut down those who would dare defy the authority of the state and conduct charity without a permit. However, most organisations are not like Don't Comply. As they took to the streets this weekend, many of the members of the organisation open carried their weapons. This was done not out of an act of intimidation, but merely to assert rights as well as protect them, and the resultant heavily armed group of do-gooders effectively staved off any attempt by police to shut down the charitable efforts. It's unreal. And this is what's wrong with this country, and the world for that matter. We've all sat back and allowed them to make rules, regulations and policies like this, and are non-thinking, perhaps non-human cops enforcing it. Yes, you heard that right. Do these cops wake up in the morning and think for 1 second about what they're actually doing? Well, evidence states they clearly don't. You know, that is someone's family member on the streets. What if it was one of theirs? Would they change their stance then? Some would. But therein lies the problem, is it not? People only respond to actions when it affects one of their own circle. And that element of ignoring things because I'm all right, Jack, has to stop. Arrested for feeding a fellow human that is starving and without means to food. You actually comprehend and understand the depth of that statement or reality. It's the equivalent of the sign, "Don't feed the animals in a zoo." That is essentially what they're saying. And any cops enforcing this barbarity is an enemy of the people. Find out where they live and let his or her whole community know that they're not wanted there and why. It doesn't require violence. And it shouldn't require violence either. We're not reducing ourselves to their levels. and the depths of depravity that these people are doing to our communities. And I hope the person who accused me of not being in truth, honour and integrity for calling Jeff Bezos a piece of shit recently responds accordingly to this piece. Man with 110 billion being defended, man with nothing and no food ignored or ridiculed. Sadly, I suspect not, as it appears that the people in our society only want to attack the very people trying to improve our society. Does anyone stop and think of that concept of what you're actually saying or doing? As for the cops and how to do things right, go and check out the French firefighters on strike who put their arms in the air and pushed back the riot police trying to break up the protest. That is called having a backbone and not hiding like a coward behind a badge. Arresting people for giving someone food indeed. Arresting the very people who put food on the cops' table, I might add. Those that make the rules, we know, are psychopaths. They can't help themselves. Those that enforce those rules have a choice, human or psychopath. This song is not a threat. It's a warning.